this. This is what we've all been waiting for. 3 slow burn episodes paid off, answering all of our questions, raising stakes, and reintroducing the audience to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know and love it. I really dug re-meeting Monica Rambeau in this episode, aka Lieutenant Trouble. Like, we instantly knew who this character was based on the very small snippet of dialogue provided from Captain Marvel. Super clever use of audience familiarity to ground and establish who this character was before we were ever even given her family connection. Also, a fantastic way to establish that we were in the real world, not the sitcom Cascade Westview world that we've come to associate with WandaVision thus far. Seeing Monica slowly rematerialize from the dust of the blip was very haunting and terrifying as well. It was kind of played for laughs in Spider-Man Far From Home, but here, when Monica blips back into existence, it conveys trauma and chaos. The hospital she re-emerges into is inundated and stuffed to overcapacity with everyone re-emerging. It's a very scary visual and, unfortunately, very timely. I love that it recontextualized the return of the blipped population. It shows that it had very real impacts on the world, just as much as it did when Thanos actually erased them the first time. This show is doing exactly what I wanted it to. It's slowing down. It's showing us the very real human elements that the bombastic MCU movies generally don't have time to slow down for. So this episode actually gave us some of the answers we've been looking for in the show thus far. What's actually happening here? Who is responsible for what's happening here? What was up with the helicopter? What's going on with the radio? The beekeeper? All of these things are given some form of an answer here within this episode. We're also introduced to the government organisation SWORD in proper. It was a nice little tie-in to show that Rambeau created SWORD based on her experiences in the film Captain Marvel, kind of like how Peggy was one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain Monica Rambeau, now all grown up from the little Lieutenant Trouble we knew in Captain Marvel, is assigned to help with a missing persons case, which then reintroduces us to Jimmy Woo, who has finally perfected the magic trick that he's been practicing since Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ah, the cute little callbacks. That's what I'm here for. Speaking of callbacks, you know what else I'm here for? Kat Dennings returning as Darcy from the Thor films. When Monica disappears inside the static bubble, Dr. Darcy Lewis is brought back, now a full-blown astrophysicist, and starts asking all of the questions that we, as an audience, have had since the very first episode. Darcy is just as lovable as we remember her as well, and I would absolutely watch the hell out of a show starring Darcy and Jimmy, solving crimes, will they, won't they, chemistry and everything. 100% would watch. Marvel, make that happen. Darcy's actually the one that figures out that the wall of static is actually a colossal amount of cosmic microwave background radiation. That's the stuff that was left over from the Big Bang, which makes sense because Wanda's powers are actually derived from the Mind Stone, which sits in Vision's forehead, which was also created at the birth of the universe. I know too much about this, I'm realizing. So Darcy, Jimmy, and all of SWORD are sitting around watching the sitcom, playing out in real time, asking all of the questions that we have had the entire time. What's up with Vision? Isn't he dead? Who are all of the people in the show? What's up with the hexagons? How come different decades? What's going on with the colorization? Even the beekeeper from the end of episode 2 is explained away as a SWORD agent in a contamination suit that's investigating the sitcom world. And Wanda's powers have reformed him into a more sitcom-friendly variation. Even the weird jump cut from the previous episode is explained. Someone is editing the broadcast from the WandaVision sitcom that SWORD are watching. Eventually, we re-enter that sitcom world, and we find Wanda confronting Monica in the climax to the previous episode. But the episode remains in full widescreen, showing us that this is not the sitcom Cascade that we've been shown up until this point. This is the true, unedited world. We get to see how this confrontation actually played out. Wanda throws Monica clean through a wall, out through the wall of static and into the real world. Just to show that what we are seeing is not the illusion that Wanda is weaving, we get to see Vision, lifeless and grey, forehead caved in, and it's played for horror. What we don't know is if Wanda has reanimated Vision, zombie style, or she's found a way to actually bring him back wholesale. Technically, he is an android, and maybe we're just seeing what she remembers in this moment? Time will tell here. I'm confident that the answers are still coming. By the time we see Monica thrown out of the sitcom world, the episode catches up to the end of the third episode timeline-wise, and Sword learns exactly what we had suspected all along. Wanda is doing this. Wanda is doing all of this. It's a great bookend to the slow burn first 3 episodes and pays them off in fantastic fashion. This culmination and recontextualization of the first 3 episodes is hugely satisfying, and I think a lot of viewers are likely to agree at this point. So it looks like Wanda is being set up as the villain of the show, but I'm not entirely sure that's the case quite yet. If it was the case, we wouldn't have 5 episodes left in the run. I think the true villain of the show has yet to play their hand, and I think Marvel still has quite a few surprises left up their sleeve. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the series might go from here, and I think we're going to be going big in the coming weeks. I think the Marvel blockbuster we know and love is just around the corner. I still think the series should have been released in a more binge-friendly format. Even just the first 4 or 5 episodes in a block. I think that if people could have watched at least the first 4 episodes together, they could have seen what the show was actually aiming for. And I think it would have made a stronger impact overall. Maybe we should all just learn to be patient. I don't know. I've liked watching it week to week. Speculating, wondering what's going to happen, but I know that those first few episodes were a bit of a slog for quite a few people, and it did lose people along the way. Not everyone is as nostalgic for the golden era of sitcoms as I am. So, into the 80s we go. I wonder what sitcoms they're going to be riffing on next week. I really hope we get a little more balance between the bubble static world of WandaVision and the real world of the MCU moving forwards. Now that we know what's going on the other side of Westview, I think we need to see the worlds coming and pressing together, not growing apart. Oh yeah, Wanda has kids now. I wonder how all of that will play out. So many questions. Anyways, did WandaVision Episode 4 blow your minds? Satisfy that Marvel craving? Answer your questions and leave you wanting more? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you in the next episode. Later days.